Good morning. And again, thank you for coming. I just want to go ahead and start giving my disclosure and tell you that I am not a public speaker. I agreed to do this because this is such a wonderful product. I'm not here to sell it to you. I'm here to sell the fact that it works to you. As we go through this, I'm going to actually go through what I actually saw when I attended another meeting, the information that I received that made me want to do this. So again, like I said, this is to help you. It's not to promote me, and I would like to say that I'm doing this on my own, not that the company for SecureCath did not offer to pay my way and pay my stay, but because of corporate compliance, that's a big thing now for hospitals. And so our hospital declined that, but they believed in this product so much once we started using it, and they saw how much it was helping our facility, that the administration came to me and said, we want to send you to do the talk and we want to pay your way. And I thought that was awesome. So to me, that says a lot about this product up front. We've used it now for 2 months and I can never go back. And I think if you ever start using it, you'll feel the same way. You'll love it. Okay. So to begin with, I'm going to go over some information that I was shown at AVA by a lady named Gail that presented the clinical study that SecureCath did for this product. Of course, if you insert central lines or PICCs or any type of catheter, you see what's up on the screen and you realize that's what we're facing, that it's so hard to secure the device and help the next person coming behind you that is going to clean around the device, change the dressing to be able to do that. It's just a massive problem with all the securement devices out there and how they secure to the skin. Something that I'm seeing a lot more of, or I was in our facility, is reactions to adhesives. And I don't know if it's because we've been using them now for quite a while to cover our sites or what exactly is causing this, but we are seeing so much of this come back now, especially in our long-term patients that keep their catheters for a long term. And this is exactly what we're seeing, and we're having to give them different types of medications to put on topically and sometimes to take orally to correct this. We're having to deal with we're putting on gauze and then a dressing over that or tape. So we're seeing a lot of reactions to the large amount of tape that we have to put on with the old type of securement devices to maintain the device so that it'll stay in. Also, suturing in our facility is only done by physicians, but we see this with our patients that we take care of. The different types of redness and scar tissue, the sutures coming loose is a big problem. And so these are some suture issues that we run across with. And also with sutures, the INS and the CDC is requesting that we move away from sutures and go to sutureless devices, which means you've got to have something better than something topical on the skin that sits on top of the skin to hold your product in if the sutures aren't going to be allowed. And I believe down the road that we're not going to be allowed to use sutures. Not yet, but I believe it's coming. Of course, needle sticks happen, and again, in our facility, the nurses don't do this, but I know in facilities they do, so you can get a needle stick, which is extremely, extremely important. And if you've ever had a needle stick, it takes a while to go through all the processes to clear yourself to make sure that you didn't receive anything from the needle stick. So, about the SecureCath securement device. I don't know how many of you, are actually familiar with the device, or if you are familiar with the device and you're just here to find out how to bring it into your facility, but we want to cover a little bit about this device. It can be used on any catheter, whether it be a CVC or a PICC line. It can be used on any type of catheter. The anchor is placed just beneath the skin at the insertion site, and we'll talk about all this a little bit more into the presentation. There's some questions usually people have about that going into the skin, but we'll discuss that further on. You do not need any type of sutures. You do not need any type of adhesive to hold this product in. It remains in place for the life of the vascular access device. So where you're used to changing the device every 5 to 7 days in most facilities, or PRN when it needs it, this device stays in the full time. It minimizes catheter movement, which is extremely important because of the big bloodstream infections that can be caused from that catheter dragging back and forth into the skin and it going into the insertion site causing the infections. And that's something that facilities have to report. I'm from North Carolina, and we have to report all that information there to our infection control, and then it's passed on. So that's something that you want to keep low in your facility, and not only for your facility's reports, but for your patient. You do not want to give them a bloodstream infection. It allows for easy catheter length adjustment. If you put it in and you need to undo it, you can just snap the little cap off and pull it back a little bit if you need to. So it's really easy to maintain and handle. Currently available is the 5, 6, and 7 French, and I understand by the end of the year that there will be a 8 French. It is now. Wonderful news. Wonderful news, because our radiologists have been waiting to hear that, and our intensive care unit doctor, so that's wonderful. So that's great. You'll see a little video now of actually how it works, and if it's the same one I saw, I'm sorry I haven't seen this video while I've been here, but it's insertion and removal. You will love this, especially if you're a nurse on the floor. You can hold that up and clean all the way around it. Our nurses love it. It's just that easy. It really is. It's just that easy. Some additional secure cath information was what I was saying a while ago. 3 to 8 French available in 2012, which we just learned is available. You can use a standard dressing on it. You can use a large dressing like up in the right corner, or you can actually use a smaller dressing if you prefer. If the patient's had a reaction and you need to use something smaller, you can use a smaller dressing. And at the end, I'll show you some different pictures that we took in our facility. It works with BioPatch, Tegaderm, CHG. All of those products are compatible with it. It's MRI conditional, which means this was a big issue at our facility when I took it to our committee. They wanted to know about the MRI conditional ability of it, and one of our dentist spoke up that was in the meeting, and he said, when we told him it was made of nitinol, he said it's made of the same thing that braces are made out of, and braces can go through MRI. It's just like any product goes through MRI. It is dependent on the heat value. So that was a wonderful thing to find out from the dentist that was at the meeting for us to help me, because I at that point did not know. I knew it was MRI conditional, but I didn't know the facts like he did. So yes, you can. The patient can go through MRI, and all of that information is online. And of course, the people with Secure Cath will give you all that information to provide. It is latex-free, which was another important thing that we wanted to know, because we are a total latex-free facility. The SecureCath clinical study that I observed, again, was the study that SecureCath did on, they wanted to trial it on humans, and it was done in 5 different sites, meaning 5 different facilities. And this is the study that I actually saw. It's not my personal study, so you'll have to work with me going through it, but this is the one I saw, and I think I know enough about it to share it with you. They enrolled 142 patients. Of those 142 patients, 68 of them were PICC patients that they inserted PICCs in. They used a 5 French catheter. 74 of them were central venous catheters, and they used 7 French. And there are the 5 sites listed below. It was a non-randomized trial. They had a primary endpoint, which was basically the device securement success totally. Their secondary endpoints were the acute procedural success, the securement time, and of course you can read them, the indwelling time, the catheter and securement device complication rate, and the patient comfort, and we'll go over those. If you'll notice on the screen, there's 2 different pictures of SecureCath, which is not what it looks like now, and I'm certain these are probably the trial products that they use, and they've come a long way, and they're continuing to improve, and I like that about this company because I like to work with companies that are continuing to improve and look for better ways. The companies I work with, they are continuously moving forward. The device securement success rate, they did 68 picks. Again, their securement-related device malfunctions were 2, or 2.9%, and the CVCs were also 2. The device-related adverse events were 4 for the picks and 0 for the CVC. The total subjects with no securement-related malfunction or device-related AEs were 62 and 72. This is the details of the securement success event. They had 6 pick securement complications, and 2 of them, and I appreciated this too when Gail was explaining this. She was very honest with what occurred, and I appreciated that. They had 2 catheter slippages within the device. They had 1 that they were unable to remove the anchor as was designed. They had pain, 2 patients with pain at the anchor site requiring intervention, and they had 1 patient with cellulitis. Of the 2 CVC securement-related complications, it was related to catheter dislodgement. So the catheter dislodged. Now, again, the pictures I just showed you were the older trial catheters. We use a new catheter now, and that catheter has been improved to prevent slivage and dislodgements that was attributed to the device cover would not properly affix to the base. So now when you use this product, you hear a snap, and I listen for that snap, and you literally do hear it, and you know that it's snapped in. And the device has been redesigned since the study to improve that cover so that to the base snap. And also, I was taught in my training, once I hear it snap, look around it, and then just pull real slightly on the catheter, and if for some reason you don't have one of your 4 edges snapped together, it'll give a little bit. You can correct that pretty easily. But the more you use it, the easier that gets, and that's just part of your training. And it's a very simple thing, but this device works well with the snap. Their acute procedural success, the total catheters placed without any device malfunctioning, which means they were able to use the device on all of their patients 100%, both the PICCs and the CVCs. They were able to insert this device as their securement device. And the time from device placement to the removal days, which means when they inserted it till they removed it, ranged from 0 to 228 days on the CVC, and 0 to 38. I'm sorry, I've got that backwards. The range was 0 to 228 on the PICC and 0 to 38 on the CVC, with a 22.6 plus or minus 36 on the PICC and 3.09 plus or minus 5.9 on the CVC. The patient comfort on the PICCs were during the device 0.7 plus or minus 1.6. The CVC was 0.9 plus or minus 1.6. Pain at device removal was 1.5 plus or minus 2.5. 1.6 plus or minus 2.1 on the CVC. And also I would like to say this again was their trial they were doing, I understand their first trial they were doing on patients. And I'll talk about this more myself on our trial, but we did not have this problem with our trial and still don't have it. So I don't know what caused that, especially the part about the pain during the use of the device, because our patients really, really love it, and they say there is no pain associated with it. So I'm not sure, and I can't speak for Gail about what caused that. The overall satisfaction, neutral or satisfied, for the PICCs was 91.2%, and for the CVC was 94%. And you're like me, I'm sure you're not surprised about that CVC being 94%. If you've ever had a CVC in your neck or in your groin, yes, you're very happy not to have all those securement devices and everything that's used to suture in your CVC. So I would expect that to be high, and it was. Their clinical trial conclusion was that the device performed very well in the initial clinical study. It had a high acute procedural and device securement rate. It was very easy to use. It was able to be placed within 30 seconds. And I assure you that comes down to a max of 5 seconds once you're trained and begin using it. The low catheter and securement device complications were low. It was well tolerated by all the patients, and it was well accepted by the nursing staff that were maintaining the devices. We have found that the nursing staff are just ecstatic over this because they were so fearful, especially our new graduates, of removing those dressings and pulling that catheter out. And how many times has it happened? They should be nervous about it. So they just absolutely, like I told you earlier, they don't like this device. They love this device. So. The device improvements is it works on a tapered catheter. I actually personally use a tapered catheter, and that was an important question for me, that the product would work on tapered, and it works well on our tapered catheters. We're not having any complications with it. Again, the snap of the cover when affixing to the base, so when you connect the two pieces together, you will hear the snap. And the improved cover removal, I did not see the trials, but in this one it has a little lip on the side that you can grab hold of and flip up. It makes it easier than trying to just pull it up on its own. It's actually like opening a little can or something. This is the SecuraCath benefits compared to the current securement device methods, and they compared it to the sutures and the stat lock. And as you can see, of all the features listed on your left, the SecuraCath was able to meet all of those needs, where some of the other products only met 2 of them. So bringing SecuraCath into your institution is what this is about today, and I'm going to work with you and talk with you about how I did it. Afterwards, I'm certainly here and available for any questions you have, and long term, I'm ready and available to help you because I want to help you get it into your facility because you need it. The key steps are your initial evaluation approval, your evaluation, your committee approval, and then the conversion of actually leaving what you're using and going to the SecuraCath. We'll go through these step by step. The initial evaluation approval was, of course, to introduce it to someone in your vascular staff or whoever is inserting your catheters. They need, first of all, to learn about it. And, of course, I learned about it at the AVA, and maybe you're learning about it here at INS today. So then from that step, you'll want to go and get brochures about it, materials from the SecuraCath rep. This is their website that you can go to and obtain information from it. I actually went to their website and emailed. I didn't know who I was emailing, but I was emailing Jeff that's here this morning, and I asked him to hook me up with a representative, which he did, and that's how I became aware of it. You also want to demonstrate how the device works and receive a demonstration on it, so they will come to you and demonstrate the product to you, whoever's interested in it. In my case, they came and talked with me about it, showed me how it worked. They brought an actual little product like you saw on the screen where they removed it and showed me how to put it together and how the little device would work. We discussed issues with the current securement device, and our main issue is we serve 3 different types of facilities. We have in-house patients, long-term patients. We have outpatient skilled nursing facilities and different facilities that we work with, and we needed a device that would not keep sending these patients back into our facilities because their device had migrated in or migrated out or fell off and those kind of things, and it's a costly issue for us, so that was one of our main issues with the securement device that we were using. The proposal, you need to propose an evaluation of the device. We chose to do 10, which was more than enough for us to do 10 because we wanted to follow our patients extremely close. We wanted to monitor them almost every day, see what was going on with them, how things were going, how was the device working, how was the patient tolerating it. So we only chose to do 10 patients during our trial. The 10 patients that we did, we just picked them at random. Whoever had a PIC consult and were able to receive a PIC, that's who we used it on. So we didn't look at any particular ages. There was nothing. It was just that the patient needed a PIC, and we only did ours for PICs. So those are the kind of things that you want to be aware of and know that you need to be thinking about before you even start your trial. This is the evaluation sheet that SecuraCath actually provides for you that you can fill out, that helps you. You don't have to create your own evaluation sheet. We had a few more things on ours because we wanted to follow up with a QA on ours, but this is their actual SecuraCath device. They have one for insertion and they have one for removal that you can monitor your patient and see how your patient's doing during the trial. They provide all that for you. It's not something that you've got to manufacture up. You need to work with your SecuraCath clinical and sales team. The lady came and the rep came and worked with me one-on-one. I'll tell you more about that in a minute also, but the team is just great that you work with. You need to document your results so you can have documentation when you get ready to take it to your PVAC or your whatever committee is called that you need to go to ask for this product to come into your facility. So the more you can document, the more proof you can show, the better you'll be. At our hospital, the evaluation included the patients, the catheter, the monitor, the length of the trial, and the additional information that we collected. We only looked at, again, 10 patients, and we found out that that was actually more than enough. It kept us very busy. We only have 2 PIC nurses in our facility, and doing normal PICs and taking care of this, it was time-consuming, but you need this kind of information. You need to know that what you're getting works, and I'm not just talking about SecurCath. I'm talking about anything that you're bringing in for your patients. You need to know that it's a good product. So the total catheters placed without device malfunctions was 100% in our facility. Again, the clinical rep and an educator were there with us, and they worked side by side with us, talking us through the procedure and how to do it. We had hands-on before the procedure on how to do it, and it was just very easy. It was just a snap to put it in. Of course, getting used to it is something different. Like anything new you do, whether it's brush your teeth different, it takes a few minutes to get the hang of it. But then after that, you're, like I say, in 5 seconds, it's in. The indwelling time from the device placement to the removal days ranged from 0 to 29 days, and we did not insert any CVC, so that's why there's no information there. The device securement success rate related to securement-related device malfunctions, we had no malfunctions. They all worked properly. They stayed in place. Any adverse events, we had none. Total subjects with no securement-related malfunctions or device-related AEs was 10 or 100%, which means that we had total success with our securement device. The patient comfort during the device use was 0 for when it was inserted and when it was removed. Also, the patient satisfaction, neutral or satisfied, was at 100%. We did not know it when we inserted it, but during the insertion process, we actually did 1 nurse and 1 anesthesiologist that we found out when we were later going back reviewing our records that that's what they were. So we particularly wanted to go back and talk with them about the device, and they both really liked the device. They understood the mechanics of it. They understood what we were interested in because they were in nursing, and so they understood what we were asking. They said there was no pain with insertion, and they really, really liked the way that they didn't feel anything pulling or snug against their skin, so they really liked that about it. So we had 100%, and they were our best recommendation that we could have. The committee approvals, we have a PVAC approval team. Different people have value analysis and different committees that you go through. But you need to discuss your evaluation results. You need to have all that together, have it listed and print it out and take it to them and show them what you did, how it worked, and highlight the clinical and cost benefits of the SecurCath, and I'm going to show you that formula in just a minute. Plug in your own information. They provide you with the formula to do this with. SecurCath does, and then you need to put your information in it because everybody uses a different type of securement device. Some people are just using like a type of Tegaderm. Some people are using StatLock. There's different types, so you need to plug in your information into this formula. This is an example of our cost comparison worksheet. The first part of it, if you can try to kind of keep this in your mind because as we work through it, the first part of this will be important. The average PIC dwell time for our patients is approximately 15 days, and for our infusion patients is approximately 30 days. We have an infusion therapy department that we put PICs in, and those patients average about 30 days keeping their PICs, but some keep them right on 60, 90 days. The SecurCath device is 15 to 30 days, and that's what we used in our facility, SecurCath. The devices needed for a patient staying 15 days would be 3 if you're using SecurCath, and the devices for our infusion patients would be 5. And we're talking just 30 days here. Like I said, most of them are 60 or 90 days. And the devices needed with the SecurCath is 1. So right there you can begin to see the difference in not only the devices you're going to need, but the nursing care you're going to need, because these devices do not have to be changed. And as you know, with these adhesives that stick on your skin, if the patient gets a bath or washes or sweats, diaphoretic patients, they begin to come off the skin. One patient that we had that stayed with us for 29 days, her skin literally weeped the whole time that she was with us. And had she had an adhesive on her skin holding her catheter in, I'm sure she would have had to have 2 or 3 catheters. And I'm not telling you things, you're aware of this, you know that this is the way it works. And we just needed something better. We needed something new. And so for this patient that was with us for 29 days with the weeping skin, the catheter stayed in place, completely intact, with no complications whatsoever. Don't even try to figure this out. I just wanted to show you this because this is our complete evaluation that we presented. Some things that we use that you may not use. We did use benzoin, so that was an added cost that we put into ours. You may use something else that you have to add in. But I just wanted to show you all the different things that we needed with our adhesives that we put on the skin versus what we're going to use in we're going to see this in smaller, but that's just what it looked like finished. At the bottom on your left is how we calculated it. We added A, B, C, and D, and that give us our total. So now breaking it back down, just so you can see how we did it. The presently used device that we're using, and this is an illustration cost because I realize everybody uses something different, and from what I could find, the cost runs about $5 to $12 on securement devices depending on your volume of patients you use. Of course, most products are sold to you at volume-driven prices, so I just went with $9 on this, and that's high on some ends and it's low on others, just to kind of give us a medium. So if I had one of our patients were in the hospital for 15 days, they would need 3 of our securement devices at $9 each. We're just going to go straight down instead of cross. We're going straight down. And then I would need 3 benzoins for each one at 25 cents each. It would take about 5 minutes to do the procedure, and I use Securicast 53 cents a minute, which I think is a low amount to figure for nursing costs, but let's just say that the nurse received 53 cents a minute. So you have 5 minutes for each one of those devices, which is 3, and for 15 minutes. And so you're going to multiply that. That's going to be your first calculation. You're going to multiply those 15 minutes times 53. 15 minutes times 53 cents per minute. And we did that all the way across with our 30-day infusion catheter patients, and then we compared it to what it would be if we went to Securicath. This is the comparison, again, looking at your total cost, A plus B plus C plus D equals E. And first of all, we had the 3 devices that I told you we would need for, in the first column we're looking at is if we had a patient that stayed in the hospital for 15 days. They would need 3 devices, 3 device changes, and that's going to cost us about $18. We would use 3 benzoins, which would cost us 75 cents. The procedures would take about 15 minutes, which would cost $7.95. And then we totaled that up, and it came to $26.70. Now, the next column to your right is looking at our in-house infusion patients if they only kept their catheter for 30 days. That's just 30 days. And we did the same thing here, and their total would have been $59.50. And we have both of these going on at the same time. So we have the in-house patients, and we have our long-term 30, 90-day or even longer patients. And then we look, the last column is the Securicath, and what would it have cost us if we had used it? It was approximately $25.53. Again, the device is volume-driven, so the price is at $25, so that's what I set it at, but it's volume driven. So if we do 1,000 catheters a year, back to the first column, in our hospital, 900 of them would approximately be the number that we would do for 30-day, 15-day, and on like that. We would do about 900 of those. So we added that up times $26.70, which is the amount up at the top for our device, our nursing care. And for 900 patients, it would cost us a little over $24,000 to do that. Then we had to add in our infusion patients that stay longer, that are going to need more devices. So we figure we probably do about 200 of those. And if we do 200 of those at $59.50, that's almost $12,000 that we're using. This is just the device holding in the catheter. So then we looked at what would it cost to use the SecuraCath, which for 1,000 patients would be, because we don't have to divide that up, it stays in the whole time, it doesn't matter how long the catheter's in, would be about a little over $25,000. So we added our in-house hospital patients of 900 patients and our 200 patients that are long-term, and again, these are low figures that we just went with low figures on these of how many we're going to be doing. And we came up with our present device was costing us a little over almost $36,000 just to change the device to hold the catheter in place. If we went with SecuraCath, it would be about $26,000, a little bit over, $25,500. So right there, we would save $10,400 just on those 1,000 patients that we did a year. That was a pretty substantial savings for us. And the hospital definitely used $10,000 extra dollars a year. So that was our formula that we used to take to our committee to show them. It's simple, it's broken down, and they can understand it. So a lot of times the people you're showing it to don't know anything about what you're doing, but they know dollars and pennies, and so that's what they want to see. Comparison of additional cost is another thing we had to look at, that we have catheters that their catheter is pulled out, it falls out. That means we're going to get called. You might put the PIC in today, tomorrow they call you, the patient pulled the PIC out. Well, it's always the patient pulled the PIC out. But anyway, the PIC's out and you've got to put another one in. You say, well, that's a good thing because that means we're going to get paid again. No, it doesn't work that way, because now with all the DRGs and the government and everything, you get paid for one PIC insertion. So if you have constant PICs that you're putting back in, whether it be in your facility or from another facility that you send them out and they come back, you're not going to get paid again to put another one in. They're going to pay you one time for that admission. So I just picked a number. I said, okay, so out of 1,000 patients, we have 100, which I think the statistics are with the present device, you'll have 10% of your catheters dislodge, and with the SecuraCath, you'll have 2%. So with that, I took 100 patients, which is probably about normal, that you'll have patients, it's either pulled out or it's pulled out of the proper positioning, so that you're going to have to go back and do something with the catheter. I'm sorry. And I picked $20. If you can put another PIC in a patient for $20, please let me know how you do it. The kit's going to cost you close to $200. So, but let's just say $20. With our present device we were using, it was going to cost us $2,000. And if we went to the SecuraCath, it was going to cost $400. So there again, that was what we showed so that they would be able to see the dollars we would be saving. And these are actual figures that you're actually showing to them to show that they are saving the money. This isn't just something we made up. This is where our problems area were. We'd be trying to do our new patients that needed PICs, and we were getting calls to go back to see all these other patients that something had happened to their catheter. And I see you shaking your head. You totally understand, don't you? Yeah. So the conversion happened with a staff training plan. You have to have a lot of communication, not only with SecuraCath, InterRad, medical, but you have to have communication in your facility. You need to schedule a nurse training in groups. Know the old nursing way to do things is to go floor to floor, hope that you get to see a nurse and show them how it's done. But SecuraCath, excuse me, came, and they in 5 days in our area they in-serviced 340 of our in-house nurses, and outside the facility they went to different facilities like a skilled nursing facility. We also have Cherry Hospital, which is a mental hospital in our facility, and a lot of mental hospitals. We actually have another one called Avebury. So we have several hospitals in our facility that we care for. We have a hospice care place that we care for. So they went to all those facilities and they in-serviced all of them, which was approximately 140, 150 nurses. So within 5 days, they had in-serviced close to 500 nurses. Now you think about that, and they did it in groups versus trying to catch your nurses on the floor. Not only do you not get all your nurses, you don't get a quality in-service. So we had ours to sign up at a certain time, we brought them into classrooms, and we had it all day long. They said, whatever time you want us there, we'll be there. And that's what they did. We give them certain times to be there. They came. They trained our nurses. It took like 10 or 15 minutes, and as soon as they had seen it, they left. They didn't have to stay until everybody in the room had their check off. We actually did a skills checklist so that our nurses could prove that they had been signed off how to remove it, and Securicath helped us with that also. They provided all the training. All I had to do is tell them what I wanted. It's very brief, like I said, 5 to 10 minutes. The focus is on maintenance and removal. The people that insert are taught at a different, I know some facilities have a lot of inserters. They're taught a one-on-one at a different time, but we're talking about nursing that's going to take care of your care and maintenance. I would check back in ever so often to see how things were going, and every time I did, our nurses come by me and said, this is wonderful. I love this. This is wonderful. It's going to be so easy to take care of now, and they love it. Thank you so much. This is one of the tools that the Securicath provided for us. It's like a poster. It's a hands-on poster that you can put all over everywhere you need it. They can put it up in the nursing educational areas or on the floors wherever your nurses need a poster. They also had the video available that they showed during the instruction period, and they played it as many times as our nurses wanted to see it so that they could see it over and over and better understand what the training was. And the placement and the removal sheet, they had all of that information that they provided for us. So again, you're not out there on your own. They've got their stuff together, and they are willing to, I kept calling for more and more, and they kept sending it. We decided that we did not dare want one of our 10 patients to leave our facility. And it does happen. Nurses forget to take an IV out or a central catheter. We certainly did not want this device out in the public with no training, which we actually trained our public nurses first. That's in our skilled facilities. We trained them first just in case something did fall through the crack. But we put this on the front of our chart, which the people that are in charge of the nursing, the patients at our facility are nursing case managers and discharge planners. So whichever one saw the chart last as the patient was being discharged would see this bright sign on the we put it on the inside of the cover so it wouldn't disappear or fall off because of going in and out of chart racks. And when you open up the chart, there it was, and this is what it says, that for them not to let this patient be discharged with this device because they're in a trial, for them not to attempt to remove it and not to discharge the patient with it. And then we give them, 2 of us carried a pager 24/7 during the 10 patient trial, so that if somebody went out during the day or during the morning, we could go and take that out. We never got called. We took them all out during normal hours, but we just felt like that was the best thing for the patient. They get out in the facility and nobody knows what it is. So that's how we stopped our patients from dropping through the crack. We give one of these, we printed these up and provided it at our nurse education that Securicath did when they came in. They were handed one of these handouts. It was just a little reminder sheet. Nurses are learning every day. Something new is coming down the chute. And so they're like, yeah, I got it. Well, they may not see one for a week, and then when they see it, they're like, what did they say? How do I do it? So we just provided this to make sure the patient's supine. Remove the catheter first. Make sure that you take your catheter out and then remove the device. And at the bottom, we showed them the angle to pull that device up out of the skin. So they could put this in their locker or wherever they wanted it. And if it was a year before they, for some reason, removed one, they could go in there and remember how to do it. Of course, we have policies and procedures in place, but this is a lot quicker than going through and reading a policy and procedure when you can just kind of eyeball it. So we had that together for them. The in-service skills checklist, this is just what we have at our facility that we prove on something like this, that our nurses are trained to do it, and they have this in their records showing that they were trained. Of course, I know you can't read that, but I'm just saying that it's available to you. I'm be glad to share anything that I have with you. Save you time. So the summary was the conversion to Securicath can go smoothly if you plan for it. Documents and tools are available, and you need to work with the Securicath rep, and they provide, again, lots of things for you. The clinical support is excellent. It's well adopted by your staff because it's so easy to use. The patients like it because it's comfortable. They don't have to deal with all the tape and the skin irritation, and it's easier for dressing changes for the patient and for the nurse. These are some pictures that we took of a patient that agreed for us to just take pictures of his catheter at different ways, some with bio patch on it, some with not. This is a freshly inserted catheter, and just shows you, I tried to get the insertion site without the bio patch so you could see that. We found that we don't have to make a larger skin nick. We thought we would, but we don't. This is a close-up of his arm, the one on the left with the bio patch. And you see how small of a dressing that is on it. So for your patients that have a lot of reactions to tape, you can use a really, really small dressing on it. Then I got a real close-up of the site. And this is my contact information. I put my work email address on here, and you can certainly email me, and I promise you I may not get back with you that week, but I will get back with you as soon as I possibly can. Would you like to see the video again? Yes? No? Yes? Some yes, some no. Okay. I'll get your questions just a second. You see when it folds, it'll go right in your insertion site. You don't need a larger one. There's a little ridge inside of that orange Securacath that you lay your catheter in, and then you just snap all 4 edges on. It's a little, when he's showing cleaning, I was going to show you the little lip on the side that they're going to flip up to open it. Pops right off. Pull the catheter out. Fold the anchor and lift it right out. And we found that even the patients we have now that keep them long term, they're just that easy to get out still. So, some questions? She asked if somebody inadvertently pulled on the catheter, what would happen to the tissue, and that's what my ICU nurse doctor wanted to know. He said, am I going to have to be going around suturing these people back up? And I did not know the answer, but I know the answer now. When you pull on this device, it's made out of nitinol, and when you pull on it inside the patient, it's pulling against the skin, but now if I was to really go in there and just jerk it, what would happen is that nitinol it's like, I can't spread my fingers like that, but it's like this, and that nitinol would make it spread to where it's like the staple. It bends downward so that it'll come out. That bend that's like this goes like this with a lot of pull, but you've really got to pull on it to do it, which is a good question because it happens. They get hung in something, and the catheter can get that much pull on it, or the patient can be agitated and pull on it. So, and when it does pull out like that, that nitinol bends backwards under enough pressure so that it'll come out straight and it doesn't tear the tissue. Yes, sir. I have not had a patient with one that long yet because I've only been using it for 2 months. But from what I've found, the patients that do tend to build up a little scar tissue, that you just have to bend the catheter really well, push forward a little bit to pull it away from that tissue, and then lift it up. But that is a key thing that you have to spread the education, because people that don't understand that think because it won't come straight out you've got a problem. But the few ones that I've had that's had theirs a little bit more than a month, and I just pushed it forward and then I lifted it up and it came right out. That's right. Your hole is larger because the catheter is gone. That's correct. Yes, ma'am. Our doctors wanted it, but the size was not available until today. Today it came available. Yeah, the 8 French came available today, and that's what they needed. They're going to use it for dialysis, a type of dialysis catheters, and for central CVC catheters. And mainly, I think doctors are going with it. Not only they like the device, but they know they got to go away from sutures. They know what's coming. Right. And the potential needle sticks. To suture it in. Right. And a lot of times those sutures come loose, you know. So, any other questions? Yes, ma'am. It can be inserted later. The only thing, I'm not sure this has been addressed as far as infusion nurses or CDC. The only thing I'm concerned about down the line is, first of all, who inserted that catheter? If I did not insert that catheter, I don't know what type of sterile procedure it was inserted under. If I inserted it, I know how it was inserted. I know how clean or dirty it is. But still, the only thing that I would be concerned about is, even though it's sterile, I'm inserting it pretty much into an unsterile area now. So that's something that a study needs to be done on, I think, and decided. But as far as putting it in later, yes, it could be done very easily. Any other questions? Time up. Okay.
Real quick, address one thing, if I may. On the pain scores that were up there, regarding the pain scores that were up there on the slide, it's a little bit confusing, but out of the 142 patients, I think somewhere around 120 or 130 actually did score for pain. The way it came out, and again, it's a little confusing, but it was about 0.6. That's 0 on a scale from 0 to 10. So most people said 0 pain during dwell time. And it was about around 1.6, I think 1.5, which is, during removal, the equivalent of about a needle stick is the amount of pain that the typical person felt. Pain has really not been an issue. Only in outliers do we find it's an issue. And with respect to removal, if you remove the device, you want to think of a Band-Aid on a hairy chest. If you remove it slowly, it's going to hurt a little bit more. If you remove it quickly, it's going to hurt a little bit less. The longer dwell times we've had, even if scar tissue has grown around, and we have had some that have been in that 6-month range. I think we're up to one that's 8 months now. And the ones that have been removed in that time frame, they've had no issues. Just you got to pull it out with a little bit of force. Doesn't really hurt the patient. Doesn't cause any damage to the site. So we've had really good results, and we have several both here in the U.S. and in Europe that are approaching 4, 5, 6, 7 months now. So, and I want to thank Peggy very much personally again, and thank you all for joining us for this talk.